A lot of that upward trajectory came from just having this ability to connect so many different facets of the business, I believe, and be able to have that systems thinking lens and portfolio lens that gets applied to the broader business. It was always the case that, when some area of the business was struggling, they would think, let's have Alex be the finance partner. He can go kind of like map things out, help the leader think about the financial levers, strategic and operational levers, how they all interact with each other, interrelate with each other, and be able to then, help the decision-making process improve. You're no longer just the finance person who's kind of, sometimes people would say like in an ivory tower, not really that engaged with the business, looking at the numbers and kind of advising. I was on the other side, and people expected me to make that function successful, both in terms of like the people, the organization, also the strategy, and then, similarly on the finance side, being able to connect all of those dots and bring it together to, help the business leader themselves create success out of all of that.
I want to go back and understand a little more about what do you mean by systems administrator at Lithium? What exactly did you do?
Yeah, great question. So I was a system administrator for our planning tool. So many folks who listen to this podcast are probably familiar with tools like adaptive planning, Hyperion, PBCS, and there's a number of other tools out there, Anaplan, et cetera. So at Lithium, I was system administrator for the adaptive planning tool. And then I moved over to Zendesk, was system administrator for their adaptive planning tool, and was responsible for then implementing Hyperion PBCS, which really, I didn't mention that earlier, but that was an even further continuation of that journey in a direction I did not expect to go, because you have to basically code. I mean, it's proprietary coding that you have to do for Hyperion PBCS to make it an effective platform. It's 100% based on its own proprietary coding. There's almost nothing that's out of the box.
Very interesting. And so it's basically designing the system, the actual software system, which will do your financial planning and analysis that suits your business the best, right? And thereby you are saying the thinking and systems thinking around what is going to, like, X plus Y plus Z is going to lead to ABC. All of that unpacking and making sure you are thinking maybe 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the line and able to bring that all in. Is that kind of what you really mean by systems thinking, or is there much more to it?
Yeah, I'd say that's generally right. Yeah, it really can be as big as you want it to be, building out a planning tool. There are a lot of people out there who implement systems like this, and they set it up so that you do a bunch of your work in Excel, and then you just dump the final numbers into the planning tool. And it is then kind of like a system of record, and you can use it for reporting later. That, I would say, is table stakes. That's the minimum capability of the tool, that you capture your forecasts in there, and you can use it for reporting, and you do a little bit of like reporting automation. I was always a fan of taking it multiple levels beyond that. So the first level above that, I would say, is using more of the automation capabilities. So it's using it as an actual financial modeling tool, not just as a financial data capture or reporting repository. So examples of that are capacity models. You could plan out how many sales headcount you need for the business by building the calculations into the tool, so that all you have to do is input, hey, we want this bookings number, and we need this productivity per rep, and now it's going to tell you how many reps you need based on a bunch of other things like ramp times and budget and all of those other parameters. So that's kind of level one. I think level two is building more of the long range elements of all of that, which you're starting to hit on. That is incredibly important to long range planning. It's incredibly important to rolling forecasts that go beyond 12 months, that are actually effective and don't take an enormous amount of time from the team to recreate. And then maybe level three, which is kind of like a foundational element beneath the other two, is that systems thinking lens. So this idea of, it's not just, okay, you have a revenue model, you have a sales model, you've got a long range plan, and those are, just exist in the tool, or the reporting and the actuals that you manually load just exist in the tool. It is interconnecting all of these things so that not only are you inputting productivity numbers and bookings targets to get sales reps, and then putting in, let's say utilization targets and bookings targets to get professional services implementation headcount, but then you're also layering on other elements that actually look at all of these other things. Like maybe you're also putting in the location of all of those headcounts. And so you can calculate the tax burden for your different subsidiaries based on the amount of cost that is flowing through each of the individual subsidiaries related to those headcounts. Or maybe it's your G&A headcount. For example, you need a certain ratio of finance people to the rest of the company. So you have all that other headcount in there. And then you can have a 1-to-100 ratio, let's say, of finance, strategic finance folks related to all of them. So there's just an enormous amount of capability and a number of other things you can do, like T&E calculator, per head T&E dollars. Like there's just anything you can dream of. So it's almost like a palette to be creative on. And I found all of that fun, the creativity piece, the system building piece, and then the opportunity to use this as like a reason to understand the entire business.
Very cool.